Now, the armed forces of Nigeria have queried the latest edition of the Global Terrorism Index, GTI, which places Nigeria sixth among countries experiencing terrorism. Nigeria's climb comes despite increased counterinsurgency operations and criticisms of previous reports detailing the rise of insecurity in the country. Arise News security and defense correspondent Ferdinand Drowa reports.
The number of countries recording a terrorist attack increased from 58 to 66, according to the 12th Annual Global Terrorism Index. This reverses nearly a decade of improvements, with 45 countries deteriorating and 34 improving. Nigeria is one of such countries captured with a deteriorating ratio, having climbed to 6th place in the latest ranking, moving up from 8th position in 2023 and 2024. The report documents 565 terrorism-related deaths in Nigeria in 2024, reflecting a continued increase in fatalities over the past 2 years. But the Defense Headquarters disagrees with these statistics. Responding to questions on the ranking during the bi-weekly briefing, the Director of Defense Media Operations says significant successes have been recorded in the fight against terrorism. The latest rankings by GTI mirrors similar findings of National Bureau of Statistics Crime Experience and Security Perception Survey and the Nigeria Security Report of 2024. Despite these findings, the armed forces insist successes have been recorded in various fronts, listing those recorded within the last 3 weeks as testament.
For instance, between 27th February and 6th March, a total of 92 terrorists were neutralized, while 111 suspected others were arrested. Groups also apprehended 18 perpetrators of fire theft and rescued 75 kidnapped hostages.
While the report does not agree that Nigeria is winning the war against terrorism, it identifies that deaths in sub-Saharan Africa, excluding the Sahel, are now at their lowest since 2016, dropping by 10%. These perhaps should provide some succor to Nigeria as a significant contributor to international peacekeeping in the Sahel and the Lake Chad Basin through its intelligence and kinetic contributions in the multinational Joint Task Force.
It shows that we're working together. Before now, we used to work in silos. Now, we have understood that no one country, no one individual can do this. We need the working and partnership relationship together, and that's what this shows, that we need to work together.
The latest report released on the 5th of March 2025 ranks Burkina Faso as the most impacted country, followed by Pakistan, Syria, Mali, and Niger. Sadly, Nigeria's slump in the rankings sees it rank worse than Somalia in 7th and Afghanistan in 9th. Ferdinand Drowa, Arise News.
Well, joining us now is Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu, retired, former spokesperson for the Nigerian Air Force. Good morning and welcome to the program today.
Good morning, and good morning to all viewers.
Well, Captain, two things. In 2023-2024, Nigeria was ranked 8th on the Global Terrorism Index. Now we're number 6. Is that progress or failure in terms of where we are placed? Despite the fact that the Nigerian government keeps saying, oh, we are making significant progress in combating terrorism. And if you look at the latest report by the GTI, on the GTI, Mali, Niger, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, with Burkina Faso leading, 4 countries from the West African region are on the top 10 list of crisis with regard to terrorism. What does it say about regional peace and stability?
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Abati. Yes, certainly this ranking is released every year by the Global Terrorism Index, to give us a global summary of trends in international and global terrorism. So if according to the report, Nigeria has moved from being the 8th most impacted country in the world in 2024 to number 6 now. Then certainly we have to see, it is a kind of reversal in our counterterrorism efforts. However, having said that, it is always very important to know what is it that the Global Terrorism Index actually measures. This may not come out in the headlines. So like they say, maybe sometimes the devil is in the details. What the Global Terrorism Index does since 2012 when it started is to carry 163 countries in the world. That is, they aim to cover about 97% of the world population and rank them according to how terrorism only, they are not talking about banditry, they are not talking about kidnapping, they are not talking about bank attacks or other criminalities, how terrorism affects those countries. And when it picks these countries, it ranks them according to 4 criteria, each having its own weighted point. The first point is how many terrorist incidents or terrorist attacks happened in that country for that particular year. That is the first index. The second one is how many people were killed directly as a result of terrorism action. The third criteria is how many people were injured as a result of terrorism incidents. And then finally, what is the property losses that is incurred. Now, out of these 4, what gives the most weight is number of people killed in that particular year. It is also important to know when we say the report is for 2025, the report looks backwards. That means it's covered January to December 2024. That's why it's coming out at this time. Now, out of these 4 criteria, the one that carries most weight is the number of people killed. Now, when you analyze this report for 2025, what happened is that Nigeria had some reversals in 3 of these indices, whereas it has recorded progress in one of the indices. And what are the indices? In the deaths, which is the one that carried most, the heavy weight, in 2024, we had 524 deaths. And now in 2025, we have 565 direct deaths. This is an increase of 7.83%. Now, I must also explain that the deaths that Global Terrorism Index measures is deaths of everybody as a result of that, terrorism attack. That is, it includes deaths of our own security personnel, the deaths of the Boko Haram themselves or ISWAP themselves, the deaths of farmers or other local inhabitants that are there that were killed. So is the death of everybody. As long as there is a death as a result of terrorism, Global Terrorism Index will count it. So I want it to be clear that it is not actually the death of only innocent civilians that is there. That is one. So in that issue of death, we have this increase of 7.83%, which affected Nigeria's ranking. And then in the number of injuries, in 2024, we had 89 people that were injured as a result of terrorist attacks. Whereas in 2025, we had 177. This is an increase of about 98-point-something%. Then, in the issue of incidents, this is where that we recorded a progress, because in 2024, we had 144 incidents. Whereas in 2025, we have 99 incidents. Okay. This is a reduction of 31.72%.
Because our time is quite limited, yes. I really appreciate you digging into these statistics and unpacking them. I think you've made your point, which is very clear. However, are we not debating semantics here? Because you're breaking down pieces of the data, but it seems that overall, your analysis of this of the data shared seems to drive across the same point, which is that, sir, should it matter whether it is 100 incidents or whether it's 2 incidents? Is it not the impact of on the population that we should be considering? Why do you feel we need to downplay the number of lives lost as opposed to, celebrating that there were fewer incidents? Shouldn't this be about impact?
No, I don't think I started with trying to downplay. I'm not downplaying anything. I agreed and I accepted and I've read the report. Certainly, when they say you are 6th and now you are 8th, Certainly, I mean, we were 8 and now you are 6. Certainly, there is a reversal. That's how I started. But then it is good to understand how the Global Terrorism Index arrived at this something. I have watched the, the remarks by the security forces. But me, as a researcher, I'm also telling you, what I find by reading deeply into the report. I am not downplaying anything, but what I am saying is that out of the 3 indices, it is not all bad news for Nigeria, because in arriving at this report, they look at these 3 or 4 indices that I said. I have told you the 2 areas where certainly we had a reversal, but then I said that the fact that the number of attacks has reduced. Now, I may also explain that why did we have this increase from 6 to 8? When we say number of attacks, also the number of people killed in the attack matters, because that is the most important factor. In that 2024 period, there was this particular attack in Termoa local government of Yobe State, in which in that single attack, about 150 farmers were killed by bandits. That is what affected our record for this something. But at the same time, again, it was not good to neglect the fact that the number of attacks has reduced, and this is even indicative of all the Sahel and West Africa region. Over there is a reduction in this, but we can say the lethality of the attacks has increased, but the number of attacks has increased. And to me, as a consultant or as a researcher, if you tell me the number of attacks has reduced, it may show an indication that the security forces are doing something to prevent Boko Haram. And I think anybody in Nigeria will agree number of attacks had reduced. But like I told you, this incident in Mafa village in Termoa local government of 1st September 2024 is what affected the ranking of Nigeria. I just want to have a global picture that people will understand. That is what I'm doing. But downplaying, I'm not a downplayer of anything that concerns human life. I don't do that.
Let's look at this case scenario. What if under-reportage has increased?
Exactly. Now, that is also a good point, because how does the GTI get its own information? A very valid point. The GTI information does not have the capacity to go to every state and find out what happened. What the GTI does is to use available information, maybe even including what you report on Arise TV, what appears in Nigerian, even including what the Nigerian military also periodically broadcasts. They look at this. So there is, this is one of the, probably one of the criticisms of all the weaknesses of the GTI, and as well as all other indices. There could be under-reporting. In fact, in the GTI report, they always say that, in fact, in some countries, there's not even access to media, so you cannot even assess them. So certainly there is the potential. I'm not saying it happened here, but there's a potential of under-reporting. But I think in doing the research, they try to cross-check. They don't carry just one information from one media, whether it is government media or private media. I think they try to cross-check with others. But that potential is there.
Well, Captain, I asked you the question about West Africa being in the top 10, Burkina Faso being the worst affected country. The implications for peace and stability. What do you say to that? And what do you think should be the reaction of government? Defensive or, some action outlay?
Your summation is very accurate. In this report, we have 51% of the attacks recorded in 2024 coming from the West Africa Sahel region. Sometimes it's very difficult to separate the West Africa and the Sahel region, or even the Lake Chad base. These are all, overlapping regions. So certainly we have the 10 countries. Out of them, I think 8 are from that region, and they are contributing about 80-something% of the total attacks and total deaths that are recorded. So what does that tell us? We are really in a very difficult geopolitical area, and the countries, have to do more to solve these terrorism issues. And unfortunately, while we are struggling with this, then there's fragmentation with the ECOWAS breaking up with the AES. The counterterrorism is an international something. It crosses borders. So as long as there's no concerted approach across borders, certainly no one country can do it alone. A country that is trying to fight alone, it might be able to succeed, but then the people can move to the other country and make it a base or a hub where they can be launching attack. So definitely we have a very big regional issue, whether you say West Africa, whether you say Sahel region, whether you say the Lake Chad Basin region. I was on a mission in Niger to look at the counterterrorism effort that we are doing. The fact that Niger has pulled out of ECOWAS is actually affecting operations. The fact that Mali and Burkina Faso are forming AES is definitely going to, affect operations, either because of the MNJTF or other collaborative efforts that have been done, even for the countries that are supporting these regions, is going to be very problematic. Because whereas, for example, the European Union want to support West Africa, or they want to support ECOWAS, and then now they have some members that are in the geographical area, but they are not part, it makes things very difficult. So definitely, I think we still have to come back to this refrain, that the African leaders in West Africa, in the Lake Chad Basin, in the Sahel region, they have to remove security from politics. They may have international disagreements on some realignments in their geopolitics, but certainly to tackle the issue of terrorism, they have to come together, or else everybody will be a loser. There is no country that can do it alone.
Okay, on that note, we would like to thank you very much, Group Captain Shehu, for joining us on the morning show.